The functional head impulse test is a new test for assessing the function of the vestibular system that evaluates each of the six semicircular canals without recording eye movements. The test exploits passive, unpredictable head impulses delivered in each of the three planes of the semicircular canals pairs and evaluates the ability of the vestibulo-ocular reflex to stabilize gaze in space, therefore allowing subjects to read while the head is moved quickly by the experimenter. Before beginning the dynamic testing phase, the software assesses the static visual acuity of the patient, which will determine the size of the images that will be presented during the dynamic part of the test. Once the dynamic test begins, the head-worn sensor is activated, and during each head impulse, an image briefly appears on the screen in front of the patient. In the following screen, the patient is asked to identify which optotype he's seen by using a small, customized numeric keypad that he holds in his hands. After each head movement, the software displays the progress of the test, highlighting the latest head impulse and its performance parameters, thereby helping the examiner calibrating the acceleration of the head for the next impulses. A range of head accelerations between 3,000 and 6,000 degrees per second square is explored for each canal, thereby covering the range of accelerations experienced during everyday life head movements. Head impulses are delivered in the yaw plane for horizontal canals testing and in the RALP and LARP planes to test the vertical canals using the same approach. At the end of each set of 10 head impulses in each direction, a recapitulating screen is shown, and the examiner may decide whether to continue in the same plane or move on to the next pair of semicircular canals. To test the left anterior right posterior canals pair, the patient's chair is rotated 45 degrees to the left and the patient turns his head to the right to face the screen. The experimenter will then impose downward and upward head impulses in the patient's sagittal plane. Symmetrically, for testing the right anterior left posterior pair, the chair is turned to the right 45 degrees and the patient turns his head to the left. The evaluation of the performance is then based on the percentage of correctly identified images, which is compared with a database containing the performance of healthy subjects in the same age range. The advantage of this new approach is that the test provides information on what the patient is really able to see while his head is moving, and therefore whether his vestibulo-ocular reflex is really able to perform the function it's intended for, that of stabilizing gaze in space. In the functional head impulse test, this is accomplished without recording eye movements and therefore avoiding both the potential problems tied to the computation of gain, especially for the vertical canals, and any issue related to the size of the head and face or to the characteristics of the eyes.